Starting with version 3.2, Intercax introduced a powerful new feature for Syndea, user customizable mappings. Anytime we carry out a model transform between two different repositories or modeling tools with different artifact and relationship types, we require a mapping, a set of rules that determines what a concept in one domain becomes when it is pulled into the second, and how and whether concept attributes and substructure are carried across. Before Syndea 3.2, these choices were hard-coded with few user options and could only be changed by Intercax. Custom mappings now allow Syndea users to develop and deploy their own mappings without our involvement. This feature is being introduced gradually, with each new Syndea version broadening it to more tools, with the ultimate goal being user-customized mappings for any combination of tools Syndea supports. Each new version has its own new tutorials, demonstrating the specific steps for the supported mapping combinations. However, there are a few common features that must be clearly understood if custom mappings are to be successful, and these are emphasized in this video. The first is the requirement that the customer engineer has a special license from Intercax to create custom mappings, beyond the standard Syndea license. Because creating mappings requires good understanding of the type concepts on both sides of the transform, and advanced Syndea training provided by this and other tutorials and videos, the customer organization may not want to extend that responsibility to every Syndea user. Special mapping licenses are provided at no additional cost to any Syndea customer, who decides which users within their organization should be able to create custom mappings. This license must be copied on the user's local machine within the user's .syndea folder. Note that this is a node-locked license, whether or not the users have node-locked or floating versions of the regular Syndea license. The users with the special licenses can create mappings and distribute them to all users within the organization who do not require a special license to use them. The second key understanding is that creating and using custom mappings requires two key files, and these files must be created, tested, and deployed as a set. Mixing and matching unrelated files, or modifying one and not the other, can prevent the custom mappings from functioning properly. The first file is the Syndea mappings file. It sits in the user's .syndea folder and contains the information about the artifact types and mapping that the organization wants to make available to all its Syndea users. The second file is a SysML profile that contains special SysML stereotypes that may be used in the mappings. It is added to the SysML model like any other profile and must be added to each new model where the custom mappings are desired. This connection can be shown in an example using DoorsNG to magic draw SysML mappings. In this example, we want to create a SysML requirement from a DoorsNG requirement. In addition, we want two non-standard attributes, status and priority, copied from the Doors requirement to SysML. Non-standard in the sense that these are not attributes of the standard SysML requirement stereotype. In order to have a place to put these attributes on the SysML side, we use a stereotype from a special Syndea mappings profile called Doors requirement here, which has tag values for status, priority, and other new attributes. We can see what this looks like here. When we create a new mapping using the Mapping tab on the Syndea dashboard, we include this SysML stereotype as part of the mapping definition. Notice that the stereotype Doors requirement has a specific ID. Syndea uses that ID rather than the stereotype name in defining the mapping. If the ID of the stereotype in the model does not match the ID stored in the mappings file, the mapping will not work. This happens easily if the user creates their own stereotype or their own profile, rather than using the profile that comes with the mapping file. Even copying a stereotype or profile can change IDs. We avoid this problem by creating and deploying the mappings profile and mappings file together. As an example, let's use the mappings file and profile supplied with the tutorials. We can go there directly by right-clicking in the MagicDraw containment browser, going to Help, Tutorials. First, we will copy the file syndeia-tutorial.mappings into the .syndeia folder and rename it syndeia.mappings. Second, we will add the corresponding profile syndeia tutorial mappings.mdzip into our sysml model. In this way, we have made sure that the matching mappings file and profile are installed for use. As a final step, make sure that the Use Mappings checkbox is checked in the syndeia Dashboard Settings tab. Several of the repository interfaces have a specific set of tutorials which describe using and creating custom mappings. An important word of caution. Your repositories are probably not identical to ours, so the specific instructions in these tutorials may not apply in your environment. If you are new to mapping and you have not been provided with a syndeia mappings file and corresponding sysml profile by your organization specifically for your repositories, we recommend starting with the last tutorial in each series, adding artifact types, then completing the second to last, creating mappings, before trying to use mappings. While the steps outlined in the tutorial are correct, following the tutorials blindly before you identify what artifact types are used in your modeling environment may end up badly. One further caution based on user tech support experience. Do not create multiple artifacts of the same type. In the Mapping tab under Model Types, we can see a list of artifact types listed for each tool, for example, in Jira. If we create a duplicate artifact of type task, even if we give it a different name or description or pull it from a different project or repository, this will create problems when we execute a model transform. If I drag a task from Jira to sysml, syndeia looks for all available mappings originating from a Jira task. If there are multiple artifacts of type task, syndeia will not show all the possible mappings. A similar constraint exists for sysml artifacts. Two artifacts of type block, for example, will interfere. However, block and block Jira artifact qualify as separate types because of the additional Jira artifact stereotype. A custom mapping may apply to one or the other, but not both. If conflicting types are unavoidable, one workaround is to create separate mappings files. While creating custom mappings requires careful attention to learning the detailed process, it provides a powerful approach towards making syndeia execute the model integrations exactly as required by your MBSE process.